Welcome to the Unbroken Blueprint. My name is Courtney, and this is the 4th episode. This episode is called You Didn't Lose Your Intuition, You Were Trained Out of It. I used to think I didn't trust other people, but what I realized was that I didn't trust myself to handle them. Because if I trusted myself, I would set the boundary. If I trusted myself, I would leave. If I trusted myself, I wouldn't need them to behave differently. See, this is where people, I think, confuse trust issues. You may have an awareness that you have trust issues. I knew I had trust issues for a long time, but thought it was just something that I needed to live with. But what I've realized now, it's not trust issues with others that you have. It's a fractured relationship with your own trust of yourself. Every time you override your intuition, you break your trust internally. And so there's all these ways that we do this. Micro-abandonments, choosing comfort over truth, like not rocking the boat, people pleasing, over accommodating. But actually what you're doing is negotiating with your own inner knowing and overriding it. And that is costly over time. But you were trained to do this probably, or you're doing it out of a self-preservation mechanism. So I'm going to speak on my personal upbringing. It may not apply to you, but there's a lot of different ways that this can happen in childhood. I'm just going to explain how it happened to me, because in my childhood, I was raised by an addict and also a mother that had to overperform and overfunction to make up for the lack. If you grow up with an addict, this is all subconscious, but what's happening is your intuition is saying as a child, this isn't right. My parent's not acting the way that they should. And you know this, and it might not be because they're an addict. It might be because they just have anger issues, or they have food issues, or they have abandonment or neglect or their own trust issues. But your intuition is pinging, but then you choose to say, no, I don't really believe that, because if I believed that, that would be too hard for the child to process, because your everyday safety is reliant on these people. So your little child brain can't actually rely on your intuition, because if you did, it would make it too unsafe for you. And so what you do is you try to make it safe. So you try to do things and help and be quiet. God forbid you do speak up and say something. Say, this feels wrong, or I don't think you should be acting like this, which I did a few times in my childhood, and I learned very quickly that was shut down by things like, that didn't really happen, or you're too sensitive, I didn't mean it like that, or that was just a joke. But if the people you depend on for survival need your silence, your intuition becomes a threat to them. And it also becomes a threat to yourself, because you can't find other caregivers as a child. So you learn to just drown it out, not listen to the things that you know your body is saying, your mind is saying. You're saying, I'm okay, no, my mom or my dad or this person or that person, I'm okay, they didn't mean to, they won't do it again. But you become over accommodating, you become the person that doesn't want to make waves, and you call it kindness when it's actually self-betrayal. So of course you don't trust people, because deep down, you know you won't protect yourself from them, because you know you haven't had the power to in the past. But at some point, you realize you need that intuition. You need it. It's your connection. It's your GPS system. And I like to look at it like a piece of IKEA furniture. Although I don't like this metaphor. I do and I don't, because obviously when you put your intuition back together, it is much better than a piece of IKEA furniture. But what I found in my life was that my intuition was dismantled, and rebuilding self-trust isn't some mystical, out of reach thing. It's actually a very practical, like rebuilding something that got taken apart piece by piece. I just needed to put them together. I needed to make it operational because I needed to be able to trust myself. You must do this to restore the relationship of trust within yourself. And so how do you do this in your life? How do you put your internal processing system back together? You catch it in the moment, not after, but during. And even if you don't act on it in the moment, stop lying to yourself in the moment. And then the next step is follow through in small ways. Say no when you mean no, especially with children. Leave earlier and have no guilt about it. Don't over-explain. How you do this is by setting one boundary. Think of it like putting one screw in. One honest moment when you tell the truth when you wouldn't have before. Self-trust is built through proof, not promises. And I learned that the more my intuition was being put back together, the stronger and stronger my internal foundation became, the less I gave, the more I stood firm in what was good for me and what was safe for me. I was actually receiving the correct signals from my body and my mind. But when your intuition is dismantled, the signals are all messed up. You're not reacting to reality. You don't have your internal processing system operational, and you feel like you're just like moving through life in a little canoe in a storm. So little by little, piece by piece, you put together this little, I'm seeing like a vision of a cog, like the Transformers cog. And maybe the females that are listening don't understand this reference if you don't know about Transformers, but there's a cog that goes inside of them. Or think of Iron Man, you know, the thing that goes inside. If that thing is plugged in and operational, you have your processing system online and operating at the optimal version. But that cog was dismantled over time, and you have to piece it back together and like stick it in like a big old transformer. But you have to trust yourself to get each piece by setting boundaries and by slowly but surely start to place your trust on your ability to handle others rather than other people behaving differently. And that's the switch. So if you've been listening from the beginning, you might notice we've been kind of working through something together. The first episode was about awareness, just opening the door to a different perspective. The second was deconstructing the performance. The third was choosing a new direction. And this is where we actually start to rebuild the relationship with ourselves. Because none of that matters if you don't trust yourself to hold it. You don't need to become someone new to trust yourself. You just need to stop abandoning the one who already knows. And you were never broken. You were just taught to ignore the part of you that wasn't. And you don't need safer people. You just need a stronger relationship with yourself. Okay, so I ask you, where in your life do you already know the truth but aren't acting on it? Ask yourself, am I afraid of other people? Or am I afraid I won't protect myself around them? And finally, what did I learn growing up about trusting my own feelings or intuition? Thank you so much for joining me today. If this resonated with you, please share with someone who you think might need to hear it. You can follow me on Instagram at the Unbroken Blueprint, and you can email me at Courtney at the unbrokenblueprint.com. This is the sound of your new life beginning. Trust it. I'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Amen.